Welcome to another dojo video. This time we're going to look at another basic technique, and one of the most basic techniques, but not necessarily the most simple, is Suwari, Waza, Ryote, Dori, Kokyu. So there's the translation. When you translate from Japanese, it's always a bit tricky, but basically, if talking simply, Ryote Dori means Ryo, both te, hand, Dori, grab. Kokyu, that's a tricky word, but we could say concentrated expression of energy or breathing. So we'll leave it just at that this time. And ho means a direction. So the both hand grabbed, directional breathing exercise, more or less. But nevertheless, we do it quite often. Most of the times we do it at the end of the class or at the end of exams. So it's one of the techniques we do most, but not always we actually understand how it works, and not always we think why we do it on a deeper sense. So again, we're going to look at Suwari, Waza, Ryote, Dori, Kokyu, not only the technical principles and the basics in a very simple, understandable way, but also a little bit of the philosophy and why we do it. So we start on the knees. There's a fair distance between the knees. There's a bit of a distance between us, so we wouldn't be too close and not too far. And I extend my hands, and my partner grabs it. So now, as he grabs, this time he's holding me firmly at this spot. He's not giving me a push or a pull. You could do it in different ways, but this time we're going to look at this way. So he's not pushing, not pulling, but in a sense he's still giving me energy by squeezing my hands, by holding them. So now the question is what I'm going to do with that energy. So when we look at the technique further, if he holds me very tight and he doesn't allow me to move my arms, he has a better position. He's holding me from above, and he's also quite big. So if I just try to move my arms, now I can't really do that, especially if he resists. If I push up, he pushes down, there's a resistance, the stronger would win. And as you know, in Aikido, we're looking not about who's the strongest, who's going to win, but actually how to go around that, how to go into that, how to solve the problem, not necessarily based on strength. So let's say we'll do this when he's resisting. So if he's pushing me down as I push up, he resists, doesn't allow me to do anything to him. The arms are not that strong, but I don't want to go against him. First of all, I want to receive his energy. Now, oftentimes what beginners do, and it's a common mistake, I want to receive with the arms, and the arms bend. But if I receive with the arms and they bend, then first of all, it's going to be hard to go back up, and also he can push, if he starts to push me here, I'm stuck. I can't do anything. And the connection between the arms and the center is lost. So if I want to have the connection between the arms and the center, the arms have to be extended. But now to receive, the trick I'm going to use, I'm going to use my body, my center. So it's a slight shift. If you notice, it's not much, just here. Enough that the hands move and I receive his energy. So again, not too far. If I go too far, he pushes, I fall back. So I lose my balance, I lose my center. So slightly, I go in. Now here, we're in a position against each other, but I turn my hands and I switch the position. Now I'm in a better position, and for him to resist here, to push, pull, it's much harder. But that's still not the end. Now, if I want to move him, it's important that I raise the elbows, so my energy here, my direction goes up towards his elbow. Now, when I raise his elbows, his center is up, he's light, it's easy for me to move him, and now I can choose a direction and allow him to be thrown. So now, I'm not suggesting this to beginners, but to new people when they come. Sometimes when I want to show how Aikido works, I use specifically Kokyu. So I ask them to hold really, really tightly. And if I would do it with strength, I wouldn't be able to do it. But here, I'm not going against, so I don't need to use strength. Even if he would push me down to my legs with his whole weight, we could even add extra people here, so he's really pushing me. I won't be able to raise him, but I use the same principles. Center, I receive his energy with the center, I change the position, lift him up, and I throw. So that's the first part. Now, the end, we're not going to look at it as much, but nevertheless, receive, come in, throw, and as he loses his balance, I don't want to go too early because he can pull me away, but as he went down, then I turn, I step on my toes. I have a strong base, legs, the knees are fairly quite apart. My arms are looking at each other, and I'm keeping a connection with him. Basically, I'm showing that we're good, you don't need to get up. So I'm going to show the same on the other side. So receive, come in, throw, and step close to him, and keep a connection. So now that's the more technical principle, and there's some keywords which were already there, but we're going to look at a bit of a deeper sense. So when Sensei was talking about Aikido, he was talking that he developed the techniques in such a way that it would transform the person who's doing Aikido. So basically that would, in my understanding, that it would change his mindset. He would start to relate to the world, to conflict, and to other people in a different way. And but those principles are sometimes quite hidden, and it's hard to understand what he was talking about. But in my experience, Suwari, Waza, Ryote, Dori, Kokyu is a perfect example of that, and I'm going to explain shortly how. So again, if he's holding me here, this pressure, this holding, it can be the same pressure is actually in any difficult life situation. You know, somebody attacks you in the street, that's pressure. You feel under pressure that you have to do something. If you have bills to pay, which are too high, if you have a flat tire, basically if you're in a difficult situation, there's pressure. So here we actually learn to face pressure, to face conflict. Now what we do and how we do it, that's the question. Normally in our lives, when we receive pressure, we want to go against. We want to win by being stronger. But at the end of it, we're going to be, even if I do it, so even if I somehow win, I will be tired, exhausted, and if I do it with strength, he won't be happy either. At the end of it, he's going to dislike me, he will want to come back at me. But now, if I don't go against the conflict, first of all, I listen into it. First of all, I ask myself, okay, so what does he want? Why is this situation in my life? So with the center, I go back, I receive his energy, and I listen in, and I realize, okay, you know what? The situation is per se. You know, these, the bills who are too high lets me know that I'm not giving enough to other people, and I'm not getting enough money back, so I need to give more to get more money so that I would be covered, for example. Or if somebody attacks me physically on the street, maybe he wants attention, maybe he just wants to be understood. And this is a bit cliche, but just, you should get just the impression of what I mean. So first of all, I listen in, I take his energy with the center, and I understand, okay, that's where he's coming from. And I don't go against, I listen and I take it in, and I realize, okay, so that's why this situation is in my life. Now the question is what I'm going to do with it. So I become active. So first I'm receptive, I receive, then I become active, I learn to go into it, and I learn to solve it. And maintain contact with it. So basically I'm developing this mindset which is actually very powerful, let's say the Aikido mentality, the Aikido mindset. Instead of going force against force, instead of resisting, I learn to listen to life, listen to different situations, listen to the partner, and I learn to act without becoming aggressive. I learn to act without using my strength. And here, I learn to stay with it. I learn to maintain my balance. I learn to maintain my ability to solve problems up to the end. So now to sum it up, whether you believe in the transformational power of Aikido or not, that's actually not such a big point. The fact that if you're doing it in a proper way, if you're actually conscious about the way it works, and you can do it through force too, and that doesn't change much. You come into the class, you go out, you're the same person, you just know a technique. But if you actually become conscious of the principles which work at it, if you're really sincerely are working on receptivity and not going against, that actually changes something in you. Even if you look at NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, which talks about associations, that changes some associations in your mind, that changes your habits, which is actually very powerful. So nevertheless, there's much more we could talk about, but this is not the end of the series. We're going to continue on. If you're interested in the topic, I'll do my best to explain the techniques in a simple way so you could be able to master them. But also, we're going to look at why we do it and how Aikido can actually influence our life. All in all, my name is Sensei Rokas, and thank you to my uke, thank you to the camera person, and I'll see you on the virtual mat again soon.